here, and hopefully that's going to work okay as well. And I'll start off by saying good afternoon, or in some cases, good morning. Get a good audience here. Thanks so much for your time and for jumping in and joining in on this. Just to kind of set expectations again of how this will flow, probably be here for about an hour and 15 minutes. We'll have an opportunity for a break during one of the practice rounds if you need to get up, stretch, or get some more fuel in the cup there type of thing. You're welcome to do that. Again, if you need to drop off at any point, something comes up, go ahead, feel free to do that. We'll have the recording available later this afternoon or early evening once all the video processing happens and I get it up on YouTube and that type of thing. I'll also have a PDF of the slides available for download, as well as the links to the various resources and things that I'll talk about. So you're welcome to, of course, capture them, but I will send those out so that you have them in your inbox. Any point you have any questions, feel free to throw them into the chat box. Because it's a smaller group this time, I'm leaving the option for folks to unmute if you'd like to do that. Just understand you'll be part of the recording at that point. I don't capture the webcam videos or things in that, but of course, audio is very much captured. So if you'd prefer to stay on the side, that's quite all right. Just throw your questions in the chat box and I'll grab them out of there. So with that, we'll go ahead and get rolling. And just some quick background. Section traffic manager is a very fancy way of saying that I oversee the traffic system flow through the North Texas section of the ARRL. So when we think about traffic, that could be emergency communications, it could be routine communications, and we'll go over what that means. And the way I got started was oh gosh, good 15 plus years ago, when I lived in Michigan. That's why I got an 8 in my call sign. I was a member of an Aries Races group in a Detroit suburb. We were preparing for a simulated emergency test, and it came my turn to get assigned what I was going to do. And they said, we need you to go to this hospital and we need you to send this request on this radiogram. And I basically looked at him and I'm like, I don't know what you mean. And so that began my journey down traffic handling and what the radiograms are and, that whole side of the business. And, from there, it's just been an awesome journey. So, all right, quick highlights of what we're going to cover. A very high level overview of the traffic system. I just want you to have a good 30,000 foot view of it. I don't want to bog down in it too far at this point. The skills that you gain from participating in the traffic system. Then we'll dive into the radiogram and its components, because that's kind of the key part of jumping in on traffic nets and participating. And we'll have some hands-on practice as well. Once we wrap up, I'll have time for a question and answer, and I can stick around for a bit afterwards. So feel free to have questions at the end if you'd like. So we'll start with the overview of the system. Essentially, it's just a network of hams that move traffic, in this case messages, every day, 365 days a year. It started in 1915 as the formal way to move these messages across the country. Anybody want to take a wild guess when the ARRL formed? Formed in 1915. So this is the relay in American Radio Relay League. This is why the league formed. So if you ever get that Jeopardy question of what does the relay mean in ARRL, this is what's behind that. We are moving these messages in a coordinated fashion across the country. And it's something that we've been at quite a bit and have a lot of history and lessons learned from that. The types of things that will move over to the system, we'll start with the worst case scenario, emergency traffic, so life or death type items. I need these supplies now. I need to know where to send survivors, those types of requests. Then we come down to priority traffic, where if we don't quite meet that life and death bar, but time is still of the essence, I need an update on injuries. I need supplies, but they're not life or death related type things. So they're still urgent and related to the incident, but they don't meet that, I need evacuation in the next 6 hours or we're going to have the flood impact, or, those types of things. Next from there is the welfare traffic. This is the, I want to let my family know I'm okay, or I have family in that affected area and I'd like to know if they're okay type of thing. Can also use welfare traffic for general advisories. Folks in this zip code or this city or this region are okay. Gives those situation reports on those types of things. And then last is the day-to-day, the routine traffic. And this might be where some of you have had some experience in the traffic system. If you've ever received one of the, welcome to the hobby, enjoy the fun and friendships you will make, or remember to renew your license if not done so already, that a couple of hams are known for injecting into the system as a way to generate traffic. Um, and this is the kind of day-to-day, happy birthday, nice to see you, can't wait to meet again, that helps us test the system daily and help new hams build these skills before the incident arrives. And so the system runs every day, and if an incident does spin up, um, then we just basically convert the type of messaging in the traffic. Otherwise, we do things, as we're rolling along. And Michael, I got your note that I'm overmodulating, so lower, and we'll see if that does a little better. Let me know if it happens again. All right, we'll keep rolling here. NTS mainly focuses on US and Canada traffic. We do have the option to move things internationally. And so here in Dallas, Fort Worth, we have traffic that will go to Germany, Great Britain. I know we'll get traffic from Canada, but generally we're focused on US and Canada. And it's all the regular modes that you would think in terms of ham radios. So voice, that could be a 2-meter net, it could be a HF phone net, Morse code, so CW, and then digital, the digital traffic net, which is very helpful with the current band conditions. So DTN is very helpful to have for that. So how about I give an example of how things flow? I'll give you the really, really confusing chart first. Then I'll see if I can give you a little bit better. We try to start and end traffic at the local level. And so let's say I want to send something to Michigan, which I'll walk through in a better example in a bit. I will introduce that here locally at one of the traffic nets here in Dallas. And then that traffic will make its way up to regional or area nets and jump across at these larger, wider area nets, and then come back down towards that local level where that destination is. And then a ham at that local location will make the final delivery. So let me walk through that maybe a little bit better, might make this clearer. So again, I want to send a message to a family member in Michigan, and this is real world. This is something that I've sent. So I bring it to the local traffic net here in Dallas, and we have a station that's checked into that net that's able to take traffic out of the area. I then relay it to that station. That station in this case was a digital traffic net participant, and so they relayed it digitally to a station in Indiana. And then the station in Michigan was able to connect into the digital traffic net and see that this traffic was headed that way. Says, okay, I'll go ahead and take it, relay that to me. And then that station happened to be 5 miles away from where it was headed. So at that point, that station picked up the phone and called and made the delivery by phone. And that is the way that the vast majority of traffic is delivered is by phone. Sometimes stations will put it in the mail. That's kind of an optional thing because it costs money to do that. You could take it there personally, although kind of that safety factor, try not to go that route if we can help it. Generally, they're done by phone. And so one of the biggest things we ask for traffic is that it include a phone number to make sure that we can make the last mile delivery there. As far as the skills that you build through NTS participation, it teaches you how to speak clearly and slowly. And I'm going to stress slowly. That's kind of the most important on here. Whatever you think slow is, go slower than that. And for folks that have been, let's say, on Skywarn nets, and you get that excited, I've got hail and I want to report it. I'm at this and such intersection and I've got hail and it's quarter size diameter. And the other person at the other end is trying to capture those details and write them down. And It's the same thing with traffic handling. If you go too fast, then the other person misses, and we have to go back and ask, can you please say that again? Wind up burning more time that way. Slow is fast. I only have to do it one time. Fast is slow. I have to ask you to repeat it. Speaking clearly, so you might need to enunciate some words. So enunciate. You might have to drag it a little bit, helps with understanding on the other end. And the way I like to think about this, not reading it with your when you're relaying it, you're sending it. I think it puts a different perspective on what we're trying to accomplish. We want the thing to reach its destination, essentially a photocopy of how it started, word for word, letter for letter, you know, fake. We want the thing to get there exactly as it started. Also helps with building net skills and participating with traffic nets. You can carry those skills over to Skywarn nets or even just social nets or things. We want you to get where you're listening to the net control station for instructions. And so, for example, please check in with your call sign phonetically only. One of the biggest fun parts in the traffic nets is we give that instruction, and what do we get? My call sign is K8AMH, and I'm Aaron, and I'm in North Dallas, and I have no traffic. All I wanted was your call sign phonetically only. That was all I was prepared to capture. So, thinking about Skywarn nets, I only want rotation or hail over a half inch, or those types of. We want you to get used to listening to those instructions from the net control station. ITU phonetics are very much the gold standard in the traffic system. So Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo. On the 2-meter nets where we're doing, kind of a training as part of the goals of that, if you come in with, Alpha, Bravo, Cat, okay, we understand you're learning those skills, and the traffic system police will not come over. But if you're going to get involved on the HF nets, type of thing, that's very much the expectation. They very much want those ITU phonetics. Also get you familiar with pro words or pro signs in the CW world. And those are words, like please say again your traffic, or I copy, or I roger, those types of things. And those are also used in other groups with on-air comms. So you could think public safety dispatchers, air traffic controllers. So if you're ever at an incident and you're handed one of the nice Motorola's that I wish I could get, but they're so darn expensive, and you're talking to dispatch. It's the same things. Dispatch, please say again your traffic, you got cut off. It's all the same terminology. And we'll go over some of the pro words that we use in the traffic system here in a bit. The last part for here, it teaches you how to be concise. Day-to-day running of the traffic system, there are 25 words in the radiogram. Can we go over that? Yes. I'm not going to tell a hospital in an emergency that list of 40 things that you need. Well, please get it down to 25, because that's how many blanks there are in the radio. No, the system will expand to help with that. But for the day-to-day happy birthday or things, we want you to keep it within the 25 just to help the system keep things flowing. 213s. So this is usually a fun one. If you can learn and master how to relay a radiogram over the air, you can transfer that to relaying a 213. A lot of the skills are the same: speaking slowly, speaking clearly, going through each section one part at a time. Sometimes the question will come up, especially more recently with the Mars exercise. Why doesn't the traffic system use 213? It's what the government uses. It's what FEMA's pushing. So why not here? 213 is exactly what it's titled. It's a general message form. And so one of the things that it doesn't help with the way that a radiogram does is with facilitating on-air relaying and helping drive accuracy. So, the radiogram's been around for 105 years, and it has a lot of expertise and experience behind that. And so as we're looking to evolve the traffic system, we're looking at ways of how to relay 213s using the radiogram format as its base. And so the current Mars exercise that's taking place this month, part of that includes interfacing Mars, the military auxiliary radio system, with the national traffic system. And how do we get the 213s that are encompassed inside Mars messaging into the NTS and the radiogram format? And we've developed a way to do that, to just try it out. So we're giving it a test to see how well it flows. And depending on how that goes, we'll make little tweaks and things. But that's the status of that right now. The radiogram format is very much the tool that's used in the traffic system. Mistakes. Okay, so in talking with new hams that want to get involved with the traffic system, one of the things that seems to come up quite commonly is, what if I make a mistake? If we're not in the middle of an incident, the traffic nets are there to help you build your skills. And so if you make a mistake on one of these traffic nets, it is okay. There is a difference between, I've never been on a traffic net before, I've had zero training on it, and here I am, I'm going to jump in and help, but I have no idea what I'm doing. There's a difference between that and, I've learned kind of the basics, and I want to come in and learn and grow and help me build on top of that, right? And so if you are participating and you have the base knowledge, but you make a mistake, if you know you made the mistake, just acknowledge it and keep rolling. We'll all keep rolling with it. I've been doing this for a while and I still make mistakes. And I joke as, I'm putting the amateur in amateur radio today. And I made my mistake, and so, yeah, we just oops and, correct it and move on. If someone does give you feedback, I hope it's positive feedback, just to help you build those skills and get everything, in a learned in a good way early, right? We don't want you to come in and keep making the same mistake over and over, because then that becomes ingrained and it's a lot harder to try and change that bad habit into a good habit. We want you to build the good habit right in the beginning. So feedback in the beginning is meant to help you build that foundation, right then and there at the beginning, so that you can grow off of that later. Having said that, sometimes folks are still, I'm afraid that I'm going to look stupid, or those types of things. We all start not knowing, and the way that we learn is by taking the time to learn and then jump in and practice and build those skills. So if there's one thing that you can take away from this talk, is go and give it a try, and take what you've learned and try and apply it, whether that's with traffic handling, or that's, I want to be in that control station, right? The first time is the scary, and the second time's not so bad, and that type of thing. So try, if you can, to overcome that fear and roll with it. All right, we'll keep rolling here. Any questions on the traffic system, or the skills that you can take from it? Okay, if not, we'll keep rolling. Again, feel free to throw in the chat, or if you want to unmute, you're welcome to do that. So we'll jump into the radiograms now. And I'm getting some side messaging that the audio keeps kind of getting distorted, and I try to fix that by moving my microphone a little further away from my face, but we'll see. We'll keep rolling though. So why radiograms? Standardized message format. This thing has been used for a very long time. We're all speaking the same language. Even internationally, if something's headed to Germany, England, Canada, we've sent traffic to Japan. It's all the same. It's all the same format across the board. It allows us to quickly and effectively and accurately get traffic moved from one location to another. It also provides tracing. So we can go back and look at that traffic and understand, how did it flow through the system? It was here, it got relayed there, then it got relayed to the next station, so that we can kind of trace these to see, what happened if something does disappear into the system or something like that. Part of that means we ask that stations keep a log of all of their traffic. So I have a log of every piece of traffic that I've ever handled. I received it on this date, I delivered it on this date, or I tried to deliver it but unsuccessful. So keeping those records really helps if we ask you to go back and say, can you tell me about that, message number 57, that you got. You know, what were the details on that? So here's the form. If you printed it out, then you're welcome to follow along type of thing. But if you don't have a copy handy, that's all right. I'll keep it on screen as we're going through it. Some animations in here, they're not critical, they just look nice. So if they don't play well with the the web, then it's all right. But we'll break the radiogram down into chunks, and then walk through each section. The first part is the roughest, so we'll tackle that one first, and we'll roll through there. So this first part's the header. You can kind of think of this like an email, where it provides some tracking information and those types of details. Okay, I see the question. How would I recommend to keep a log? If you want even more details, I can open up my log file at the end, and I can kind of show you how I'm doing it. But here's the quick. The date, who the message was from, where the message was headed to, and then what did I do to it? Did I receive it from someone else? Did I deliver it? Did I send it along to the next station in the chain as part of relaying it? So what was my activity with that? And then the radiogram will have the finer details if I need it, like what time did I deliver it, those types of things. But again, just a log, whether it's a sheet of paper, as a chart, I do mine in Excel. But the date, the message number, who it was from, where it was headed to, and then what was the activity? Did I originate it? Did I receive it, send it, or deliver it? And I'll talk about what those things are in a bit. Okay, so the first part of the radiogram header is the number, and this is assigned by the station that originates the message, as in the one that takes the blank radiogram and fills it out for the very first time. Essentially, everything on the radiogram stays exactly the same as it moves. So if I'm creating the message, whatever number I attach to it is the number that stays with it all the way across. And this is so that I can go back in my records and look it up. How did I number mine? My first one was 1, second one was 2, third one was 3. Some choose different ways to number these. Some do it by month. So this is October, so the first one for October might be 1001, and the next one 1002. Just kind of depends on how you want to do it. But for me, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm up to 500 and something now on my current cycle. And at some point, I'll reset it back to 1. But again, this is up to you how you want to track them on your end. Precedence goes back to what type of traffic this is, that emergency priority welfare or routine. Normally we'll abbreviate, so for routine, I'll just put the initial R or Romeo. When we say it on the air, we say routine. The one that we always spell out is emergency, and that's because we want to highlight the significance of that traffic. Emergency traffic trumps everything else, and so if there's a traffic net and someone suddenly has emergency traffic, they can and very much are expected to break into the net and say, I have emergency traffic. All the other traffic suspends, and that emergency traffic becomes the focus. Once it's relayed, then we go back to whatever other traffic was pending at that point. Emergency traffic is the most important and wins over anything else, so we always spell that out. The next one is handling instructions. This is an optional item. It tells us about how it should be relayed through the system as it's moving, what we should do with it, and also how we should deliver it. Again, optional, so you don't have to use this if you don't need to. Here's a breakdown of what they are. These are in the handout that I also provided, that reference guide. But here they are on screen. The most common one you will see is Hotel X-Ray Golf, which essentially says, please don't spend any money to deliver this. If you do have to spend money, then never mind, it's okay, just let me know you didn't deliver it. And that's meant by service originating station. We're going to send a message back to them saying, message not delivered because, insert reason here. Others you might see more commonly, Hotel X-Ray Charlie, which is please report the date and time that it was delivered. And then you just send a message back saying that it was delivered at this date and this time. You can use more than one, so I could have Hotel X-Ray Charlie Golf if I wanted to. Hotel X-Ray Echo is please ask that station for a reply, or that person that's receiving it for a reply. The one that's kind of the one we all dread and hope will never be used unless absolutely necessary is Hotel X-Ray Delta, and this is effectively a real-time tracer on that traffic. So that very long paragraph essentially says stations need to do two things with this traffic when it shows up. First, when I receive it, I need to send a message to the originating station, the station that introduced it, saying, okay, I received it from this station at this date and time. And then when I relay it to the next station, I send another message to that originating station saying, at this date and time, I sent it to this station. That station that's receiving it also sends the, at this date and time, I received it. And when it goes to the next one, so it can amplify traffic quite a bit. So we only want to use that if it's like a really, emergency traffic and I got to know in real time how that thing is progressing. We had a group in North Texas a few years ago that used this on their field day traffic. So imagine 10 pieces of traffic, all with, I want constant updates on how this traffic is moving. So they got some feedback. I wasn't here at that time, so I hope it was positive and not chew them out. But in any case, they got some feedback, and we learned, and the system did not implode or anything, so it's all right. So. All right, did I beat that horse on the delta enough? Okay, let's keep moving. Station of origin is the station that originally filled out the radiogram. Now, the traffic can be from anyone. You could have a family member that doesn't have their ham license that wants to send something, and that's absolutely fine. Let's say I'm on the phone with someone and they don't have a license, but they want to send something, then I'm the station that's filling in the form, so my call sign goes there. And that's how, if while it's in transit or something, if someone has a question, well, who do I ask? Well, I want to ask the person that brought the thing. And so the station of origin is the one I'm going to reach out to, and in that case, it would be me. The place of origin is going to throw you a curveball. We'll talk about that in a second. The check is a count of how many words are in the text. And this helps us to make sure that we don't add or drop words while it's in transit. So if I say a check of 9 or niner, and we get to the text and I have 10 words, well, then I know I did something wrong. Maybe voicemail was one word instead of two, or I put an extra the in there or something. So this gives us an opportunity to double check that I actually got everything as it was intended. There are some shorthands we have for traffic, kind of the more common things that we see, and I'll talk about them later. But if we use one or more of these shorthands, then we put a flag here in the check. We'll say ARRL niner or whatever the number is, to say that we're using the shorthand in the text. I'll go over that in a bit, but just an awareness that sometimes in the check, instead of niner, you might see ARL or Alpha Romeo Lima niner in here. Place of origin, here comes the curveball. This is the location of the person authoring the text. So if it's my own traffic and I'm in Dallas, then station of origin is me, and the place of origin is Dallas, Texas. If I'm on the phone with someone in Irving, Texas, and they want me to send something into the system for them, station of origin is, it's me, Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel. The place of origin is Irving. The person that's authoring the message is in Irving. And the reason for this differentiation is if it's let's say the message is from Mercy Hospital. Well, Mercy Hospital where? Mercy Hospital Dallas? Mercy Hospital Houston? And so the place of origin is what allows us to know, from the physical location where it came from. But station of origin, if you have a question about this traffic, come back to me. I'm the person that brought it into the network. So hopefully that's clear. City state on this is all you need here. The next one is the time. This is another optional. but you definitely should use it for emergency priority or welfare traffic, or if there's a hotel X-ray Bravo instruction, and that instruction is the cancel this if it's not delivered within so many hours. I got to know how many hours went by, so if I don't have the time, I can't answer that. 24-hour time format is very much preferred. Coordinated universal time is the language of the traffic system, so you'll commonly see 1948 Zulu, or something like that here. If it is local, just make sure to indicate that it's local, whether Lima, L for local, or put the time zone. Central Standard Time, Central Daylight Time, Eastern Daylight Time, something that lets us know that it's not in Coordinated Universal Time. If there is no time zone indicated or anything like that, then the assumption is Zulu. And then the last one here is the date. 3 letters followed by the date, but when we say it on the air, we'll say the whole thing. So October, say 18th, be October 1-8, Oscar Charlie Tango, but we would say October when we're relaying it over the air. You do not need to include the year. If the traffic is a year old, then I have questions. So no need to put the year, just the month and the date. So here's an example of how this could look and how I would read this header on the air. I would say this is number 312, routine, Hotel X-ray Golf, Kilo 8, Alpha Mike Hotel, 12, Dallas, Texas, 2145, January 15. Now I go a little slower than that, but for sake of time. Notice how each digit is given individually. So it's not number 312, it's number 312, January 15. We give each digit as an individual number for clarity type of thing. I did mention that the handling instruction and the time are optional. So what happens if I don't have those? I just don't say anything for them. Number 312, routine, Kilo 8, Alpha Mike Hotel, 12, Dallas, Texas, January 15. Also notice I'm not saying the name of each box. I'm not saying number 312, residence routine, station of origin, Kilo 8. We're all running on the same form, and we all know the order. And so there's no need to identify what each one of these are. The one that I do as an exception is the handling instruction. If I have a handling instruction, then I will say Hotel X-ray Golf, just to give that flag that I've got a handling instruction in there. But otherwise, you just roll right on through the header without needing to say the names of anything, because we all know what they are, type of thing. That hopefully makes sense. Okay, that was the hard part. It gets much easier from here. Again, any questions in the chat's fine, or you're welcome to unmute if you want. But otherwise, we'll press on here. The next part's the address. This is essentially like on an envelope: first, last name, call sign if they have one. And again, this doesn't need to go to a ham. So the one I sent to the family member in Michigan, she is not a ham, so that's quite all right. You just don't put a call sign there. First, last call sign, address, and then the phone number, please. Exception to that would be like traffic coming to me or to folks that regularly participate in traffic nets. Because I'm on the traffic nets, you don't need to put a phone number. I'm going to pick it up during the traffic net. So yeah, but extra insurance if you want to include a phone number in that type of scenario. There is an email space. It's kind of one of those, some traffic handlers are okay with it, some despise it. So if you want to open a nice can of worms with traffic handlers, talk about emails. We kind of look at that as kind of the last ditch effort. I don't have a phone number, so okay, include an email instead. Then when it gets like, if it's coming here to Dallas, then the station here in Dallas would email it to the destination. But we much prefer the phone number. If we were in an incident, that's the way we're going to do it. And if you're thinking about, I want to let my family member know I'm okay. Well, what would be better? That person get an email, hi, I'm random ham and your family member is okay, or a phone call, hi, I'm a ham and I'm involved in helping moving you welfare messages, and I have one from a family member. They want you to know they're okay, right? That personal touch in that type of situation is is enormous. It just makes that experience so much better. That if that person that's receiving that welfare traffic has a person on the other end that is, reaching out and making sure that it makes it, because otherwise it goes into the email and then we don't know after that, right? Whereas with the phone call, we know that we've made that delivery, we know it's gone through, type of thing. So let's say I want to send it to Jane here in this made up address example of awfulness that I have, but there it is. Here's how I would read this on the air. Be going to Jane, and again, I go slower than what I'm gonna do here. Jane Doe, I spell Delta Oscar Echo, amateur call, Alpha Romeo 1 Tango, address figures 123, mixed group 85 Tango Hotel, street, direction southeast. Sumtown, Wisconsin, zip figures 00121, phone figures 330-555-4424. Break. We'll quickly mention that traffic nets, like anything, have their own little personalities. On the local traffic nets here in Dallas, we say phone figures. Some nets just say figures because they know the phone number is coming next, so why burn the time? The key part there is on the traffic net you want to participate on, listen to it for a bit, get a feel for how that traffic net flows before you jump in, and that'll help you integrate in there a lot smoother. So in there I have some pro words or pro signs. So let's go over what these mean. I spell means I'm about to spell whatever it is I just said. If you're going to spell something, get to it. I wouldn't do, Jane Doe, I spell Delta. At that point, someone's already guessed. So Doe, I spell, get right to it. Amateur call means you're going to give a call sign. Figures, so whether address figures, phone figures, zip figures, you're going to give a series of numbers. Mixed group is a mix of letters and numbers, or maybe a slash, but direction is for cardinal directions and addresses, so direction west, direction southeast, that type of thing. And then the fun one that usually I get a question on is break. In this case, it indicates you are pausing to let the other station come back and say, I need you to say again the address, or please spell Wisconsin, or something like that. On a lot of nets, the preamble will say something like, if you have emergency or priority traffic at any time, please say break, break, followed by your call sign. And so folks will say, well, break must mean I have an emergency. In this case, no. Break means you're pausing to let the other station come back and tell you whether they need you to repeat anything or if you can go ahead. And that would be the sign to continue is go ahead, go text, that type of thing. Underneath the address part is the first of two locations where we can have an op note or an operator's note. In this case here, in this one, this is for delivery operator notes. So in this example, I have workday only, which means that if you're going to make the delivery by phone call, only do it during a workday. And that might help if it's a business phone number and I know that person's only at work during working hours, so why call on the weekend, type of thing. So the op notes here are related to the delivery side of things, or op note voicemail okay, or something like that type of thing. That's it for the address part. Any questions? I'll buy you a second. I'm gonna have a little more fuel, even though it's probably lukewarm now. Well, that wasn't too bad. All right, we'll keep rolling then. This next section to the right of that, receiving station info, I've got good news. You probably won't be filling it out very often. This is where you would put your information. One of two cases: if you're going to mail this to its destination, or if you need to turn it in as part of an incident paperwork. And so this is so that the person that's looking at it knows who filled it out and can come back with questions. When we think about other paperwork that might have a scribe, box, like if you're part of community emergency response team and you've heard of the scribe role, who's filling out the form? I can't read this word. I want to understand what it is. Who's the person that filled this out? That's what this box does. This is what lets us go back to the person that actually filled it out and ask those questions. If it's traffic coming to me, then I already know my name and address, so I don't need to fill it out, right? Why bother? But if it's something that you're going to turn in or you're going to give it to someone else, then I would definitely fill it in. That's it for that one. Let me take the question that just showed up in the chat here. The radiogram I'm looking at doesn't have an email section. This is a newer field that's on these. So some templates do not have it. Can you still use it? Yes. You could just write the email on there and we'll know what's going on there. But just depends on the age of the template, whether or not it's got that email on there or not. It's one of those recent changes that's come in, as the system moves on. Oh, you're quite welcome. Yeah, so no worries there. And when we get to the signature part, you'll see that's not even labeled. So it's just, part of fun. All right, we'll keep rolling here with the text section. So yeah, this is kind of the meat of it. Again, we try to keep it within 25 words or groups, as they're called. If you go over a little bit, it's okay. I had a piece of traffic I sent recently that was related to learning about a silent key, and I needed 32 words for that one, and that's how I sent it. So 25 is a good upper limit for the day-to-day type of thing. If 1 out of 100 type thing goes over that a little bit, then you'll be okay with that. Possible you might get cranky traffic handler. That's like, why are you doing that? But it is okay. And again, if we were in an emergency and that emergency operations center had a supply request of 30 things or 40 things or 50 things, we're not going to go back to them and say, oh, yeah, there's only 25 blanks on here, so you better make your list shorter. No, we're going to send it with exactly what the request is, type of thing. For the day to day, I like to think of it as $5 a word. If we think back to telegrams and you got to pay by the word type of thing. So let's use this as an example. Great seeing you yesterday. Hope to get together again soon. 73. So in radiograms, punctuation gets converted into groups. So periods become either the letter X, which is set as initial X-ray, or the word X-ray. Question marks become the word query. Exclamation points become the word exclamation. You don't generally see these too often. I mean, if you think about it, how are you? I am fine. Did I need to spend the $5 to put the query after how are you? I got that you're asking me how I'm doing. I didn't need you to spend the $5 to put the question mark there. So part of that just kind of depends on the traffic that you've got, and whether it makes sense. And to exemplify that even more, great seeing you yesterday, initial X-ray. Hope to get together again soon, figures 7-3, which is how that would get converted into the radiogram text. You notice I don't have the initial X-ray or the word X-ray. Again, either of them work for a period. I don't have that between soon and the 73 at the end. Pretty clear the sentence ended after soon, so I don't need to spend the $5. Now, do I make that mistake on occasion, if you want to call it a mistake? Yeah. And I'll get on the net and I'll be relaying the message, and soon, initial X-ray, figures 7-3, and I'll start laughing because I know I just spent the $5. It's like, oh, I guess I had extra $5 today. But into the system that way, and and that's it type of thing. Question in the chat: can I send a recording of this later? A little late for the meeting. That's quite all right. Yes, I will send the recording of this meeting along with the links that I talk about and the slides later this afternoon, this evening, once the video gets processed and all of that. So no worries there. All right, let me keep rolling here. Now, if it makes sense to spend the $5 for clarity, then do that. So if at the end, let's say, for example, I had a date, on August 10, which would be on August figures 10, and then 73 afterwards, then it would make sense to spend the $5 there. So on August figures 10, initial X-ray, figures 7-3. That way you got that clarity that the 73 is not part of the date, if that makes sense. When you're looking at the check, uh, things like initial X-ray, query, exclamation, they all count in the check. So the check on this is 12. 1, 2. Great seeing you yesterday. Initial X-ray is the first 5. Hope to get together again. It's the next 5. Soon. Figure 7, 3. Last 2. 12. So the check on this is 12. Hopefully that makes sense. Here's how I would read this on the air. Again, slower, but for time. Great seeing you yesterday. Initial X-ray. Hope to get together again soon. Figure 7, 3. Break. And so that break again at the end, right, we're giving that pause for the receiving station to come back and ask for repeats. So here's some more pro words or pro signs that are related to that. Initial or initials, you're about to give initials. So initials, Alpha Romeo, Romeo Lima for ARRL, things like that. Other things you might hear, say again. I need you to repeat something. Please say again, word after seeing. Or the worst case scenario, please say again all after yesterday, which means I need you to repeat everything that you said after that, which if you want to translate that probably means speak slower. So, type of thing. But otherwise, please say again all after, please say again word before seeing, please. And then yes and no is much better as affirmative or negative. Um, again, we want that longer affirmative, a negative versus yes or no. And again, back to public safety, it's the same things. Are you on scene? Affirmative. Not yes. It's much easier to understand affirmative versus yes, especially if it's in in an incident and you've got sirens going off in the background or things like that. Correction is if I made a mistake and I need to fix it. So say in this example, it should be southeast, but I say direction east. Correction, southeast. I say again, direction southeast. And that's how we introduce corrections into the flow of things. And a lot of those pro words are in the handout. If you want a handy reference for that, they're all in there. That's it for the text section. We'll jump into the signature next. And again, if any questions, feel free to jump in at any point. Signature is directly below the text section and has no label, but yep, it goes there. Generally, this is the first name and call sign in the day-to-day. So for me, it'd be Aaron, Amateur Call, Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel. This is the, and that's exactly how I said it. It's signed Aaron, Amateur Call, Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel. End number 312, no more. How copy? So a couple more pro words here. End means the end of the radiogram. No more, or it could be 1 more, or 2 more, or 5 more, or how many you have left to relay to that station. So I might come in with, I have 3. And then when I finish the first one, I say, okay, end number 312, 2 more, as in I have 2 more to go with you. How copy this last one? And how copy is, did you get it? Do you need any repeats or anything like that? And then of course, Roger being, you copied successfully. I Roger, your number 312. Or good copy on 312, or something like that to that effect. This is the second place for op notes, and this has to do with replies. How do I get replies sent back or the traffic back to that originating station? So here in this example, Aaron Amateur Call, Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel, op note reply or service to Kilo Echo 5 Yankee Tango Alpha. What this is saying is that if you have something you're going to send back to me, send it care of KE5YTA Roger. And I'll have some examples of that in a bit that clarify it. But that's effectively giving an instruction that if you're going to send something back my way, route it through Roger first, and then Roger will continue it from there. Okay, aside from the receiving station info, everything that I've talked about to this point stays exactly the same as it moves through the system. The number does not change, the date does not change, nothing changes. All of that stays exactly the same as it moves. Please. Yeah. Does that always happen? No, sometimes things happen, but that all of that should be the photocopy that arrives. Now, this last part, the received and sent info, this is the tracking information that helps us to trace it if we need to later. Again, 24-hour time format preferred. But this is where you would document who you received it from and or who you sent it to when relaying it along. And so here in this example, we'll say I relayed it to Roger K5YTA, then I put his call sign in the two. I do a little bonus points and put the net I was on for that, just for some extra data, and then the date and the time that I did it at. And again, coordinated universal time is preferred, but if local, just indicate that it's the local time zone or what the specific time zone is there. So here's how this looks. Everything that we just went through completed. Number precedence, origin check, where it's from, the date, destination, the message, the signature, and who I relayed it to as it got started in its relaying. Any questions on how this came together? Well, go ahead and type your question if you're in the process of that. In the meantime, I'll keep rolling here just for time. Now, what if I have the same message going to multiple people? You know, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. We would call that book traffic. It's the same text message, it's just going to different destinations. And so when I come to the traffic net, I would say I have a book of three, one going to Wisconsin, two going to Michigan. And the nice part here is I can read the entire radiogram once on the first one. And then for the next ones, I only have to give the number and the destination because all the rest of the information is the same. So the first time I would roll through this number 312 routine, kilo, da, 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 da. And then I'd say, you know, end of 312, two more in the book, how copy. And then for the next one, I'd say number 313, going to John Smith, 123 Fake Street, Sumtown, Michigan, phone figures, da, 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 da. End 313, one more in the book, how copy. Number 314, to, you know, and I could skip all the rest of this. It allows us to just relay that same message a lot faster, if that makes sense. I talked about shorthands briefly. Here they are in a little more detail. So here in this case, this is real traffic that I dropped in the mail to its destination. That's why my contact info is there. ARRL 56, new amateur radio license. Welcome to the hobby. Enjoy the fun and friendships you will make. ARRL 56 is, of course, congratulations on your blank, a most worthy and deserved achievement. So again, we have these shorthands for the more common things that might get said. When we do use a shorthand, we put that indicator in the check. So a check of 1-2 becomes Alpha Romeo Lima 1-2, just as that heads up that there's some shorthands, one or more shorthands in the text. And when we deliver it, of course, we give the real thing. I know, hi, I got this message for you, and it's ARRL 56. I don't know what the hell that means. So, tell them what it means. Type of thing. Here are the more common ones you'll see. ARRL 47 and 67 are more about delivery. 47 being I delivered your message at this date and time, 67 being I couldn't deliver it because of some reason here. Otherwise, ARRL 50, greetings by amateur radio. 61, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. 56, congratulations on your. And so that's how this would work. Congratulations on your. So ARRL 56, congratulations on your. And then the blank gets filled by what's after: new amateur radio license. Most worthy and deserved achievement. Welcome to the hobby. Enjoy the fun and friendships you will make. Now, if you have more than one ARRL shorthand, that's fine. You just still only need ARRL 1-2 or whatever the check number is. ARRL does not have to be at the beginning. It could be at the middle. It could be at the end. It doesn't matter. It just depends on where it fits within the message that you've got, type of thing. We do spell these out. So it's not the digits 5, 6, it's the words. And this is to make sure that it's clear that it relates to the shorthand. So initials, Alpha Romeo Lima. 50, I spell Foxtrot India Foxtrot Tango Yankee. 6, I spell Sierra India X-ray. And you spell them out to stress the fact that they are words rather than digits. That hopefully makes sense. All right, so some other examples, and then we'll have an opportunity for some hands-on, and then it's a good point for a break if folks need to take it. Question that's coming: where do we get the phonetics? I see most people use the same words. Yeah, like Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Echo, the ITU phonetics. If you go to the handout page that I have, so kilo 8 alphamikehotel.com/handouts. There's a traffic handling reference document that includes the ITU phonetics on there. That's very much the gold standard on things. All right, so here in this example, ARRL 50, John, and congrats on new amateur radio license. So ARRL 50 is, of course, greetings by amateur radio. Greetings by amateur radio, John, and congrats on new amateur radio license. Period. Enjoy all that the radio community offers. Now here we have that op note I talked about earlier that I'd have a better example for. So op note reply or service message to DL4FN via KE5YTA Richardson, Texas 75080. Peter, DL4FN, is in Erbach, Germany, which is what the DEU is. And so for replies to get back to Peter, he includes this instruction to help the traffic get back to him. Some traffic handlers are not familiar with how to move international traffic. So this op note provides the clue. How do I get this back to Germany? Oh, well, send it to Roger in Richardson, Texas. And Roger, will, KE5YTA, will take it from there to get it to Peter, if that makes sense. So the Richardson, Texas is what gives the clue of send your traffic towards Texas. And then when it shows up here in Dallas, then the traffic gets relayed to Roger, and then Roger takes that to the digital traffic net to get it over to Germany, if that makes sense. Another example here, again, let me zoom in just to help. Hello, Gary, period. Congrats on your new amateur radio license, period. Ask delivering ham for more info about this message, period. Best wishes. And again, we didn't need another period at the end. Why spend the $5? I know that that's the end. But same thing, op note reply or service to Roger type of thing. And here you can see where I received it from KF5IOU, that's John. And then I, again, dropped this in the mail. So that's why my information is in the received box. Otherwise, I wouldn't fill that in. All right. If no questions on that at the moment, we'll do some hands-on. And again, this is a good point to take a break. And then we probably have another 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes left. And we can get it wrapped up. And then again, I can stick around for questions. So if you have the blank radiogram, we'll have you try filling one out and sending it to me. And there's my name and address and the phone number. And I get the question, is that phone number real? Yes. And so I've had folks call me and say, I have a question about this, and that's absolutely fine. You'll probably go to voicemail because I get enough phone calls about, buying new siding or the IRS is going to take me to jail. So if I don't recognize the number, yeah, I'll probably send it a voicemail. Please don't hate me too much, but lately it's all the political stuff, and I was like, really? My favorite is I get it for Alaska, and I'm like, I don't know where you think I'm at, but I'm not voting in Alaska. So go ahead and fill out a radiogram here, and whatever number you want to give it's fine, 1 or that type of thing. Again, if you need to take a break, now is a good time. And if you have questions, feel free to throw them in there type of thing. I'll have a little more fuel, even though it's lukewarm, I'll take it.
Aaron, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, I'm familiar with the Winlink remote messaging system express mail thing, and they have every kind of form known to mortal man or woman. But
Yeah.
but I don't see the one for a radiogram.
Okay.
Is that an obvious exclusion, or what's the deal on that?
It's there. It's just a little bit interesting to find. And so are you able to stick around a bit afterwards? I'll use that extra Q&A time and I can show you where it is and how it works.
Okay, because I just brought up my Winlink RMS Express or
Yep.
and I go to
Yep.
where it says new message,
Yep.
and then it says select template,
Yep.
and then if you go to standard templates, and then
Okay. Where you're headed there is, and again, I'll show this afterwards too for folks that would like to visually see it. You're looking for the radiogram and RRI section. And then once you expand that in the tree structure, the entry that
oh,
you
I see
want,
it. I see
yep,
it. Yes,
the entry that you want is radiogram.text.
yes, I see it. Okay,
That's,
thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Yep, that's it. And again, if I forget, please understand I'm human. But once we wrap up, I will open up Winlink and I can walk through how that flow works and just to show you what's going to happen with that. Absolutely. Okay, next, please go over the radiogram reply for Hotel X-Ray Charlie, specifically the text. Okay, Hotel X-Ray Charlie. Keep me honest. That's the I want to confirm delivery date and time, please. Right? Am I remembering that right? I try to be a walking encyclopedia, but I'm not. I'm not always. I'd rather make
You are
sure.
right.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let me go to those ARRL shorthands because they really help with this. So Hotel X-Ray Charlie, the please confirm delivery date and time. There are two ARRL shorthands that help with this. The first one is ARRL 47. Excuse me. Reference your number blah to blah delivered on this date at this time. So let's say it's my message number 1 and I sent it to Melissa KI5GRH and it was delivered right now. I would say ARRL 47 FORTYSEVEN and figure 1 amateur call Kilo India 5 Golf Romeo Hotel October figures 1-8 figures, and I got to figure out what the 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Is it 2002 right now?
2002.
That figures 2002. Now I don't need to put Zulu or anything because it's UTC is in the template, is in that text. But that's how I would confirm delivery. If I couldn't deliver it, then I would say, ARRL, well, initials Alpha Romeo Lima 60, I spell Sierra India X-Ray Tango Yankee 7, I spell Sierra Echo Victor Echo November figure 1 bad phone number or whatever the reason is that I couldn't deliver it. Now I usually do some bonus with this one where I'll say number 1 and then I'll include the amateur call just to help that originating station verify that I'm talking about what it is they sent. And I'll also include the phone number to help them understand if the phone number changed in transit. And then that way they'll know whether the number was truly a bad phone number or if it got mangled in transit and they need to try again type of thing. The phone number goes in 3 groups. Area code, the prefix, and the suffix. So it's be figures 248, figures 555, figures 1 2 3 4. So each chunk of the phone number gets a different group, a different chunk of text there. Hopefully that clarifies how you would do the Hotel X-Ray Charlie. Worst case, if the shorthands aren't coming to mind or something, then just say delivered your number 1 July 8th, type of thing. I'll still do the job, but we have the shorthands for that. Question in the chat: are the shorthands listed on the ARRL website? They will be somewhere at ARRL.org/NTS November Tango Sierra, as in National Traffic System. There are a couple of different documents there. They have a two-pager that has a lot of the information. I find the text on that to be kind of small. So that's why on my handout where I have them on there, it's bigger. Yeah, it costs an extra page, but you can read the thing without a magnifying glass. The other places you can find it, if you really want to dive into this, there is a 400 plus methods and practices guide that anytime I get a question, I go in that document and go look it up. And, it's, one of those fun moments like, okay, I went and looked at I went and looked at our favorite book and here's the official answer, so, that type of thing. Roll from there. While I'm finishing this, I put this example back up. I guess I should have thought if folks hadn't already filled it out all the way, I took their text away. So here's the message again for the practice one. But that document is there. There's some other places online that you can get it, but ARRL.org/NTS is the place to go for NTS related documents on the headquarters webpage. Otherwise, my webpage, kilo8alphamikehotel.com, I've got the download there. There's also some training stuff there. And there's a page dedicated to the IT phonetics. There's a page for shorthands and different things like that. So if you find that handy, that type of thing. All right. Anybody need more time on the hands-on, or we'll keep pressing forward here? All right, we will move forward. If you didn't get it set, that's okay. Let me get the magnifier out here. So here's hopefully what you've got on your end. Your number, whatever number you gave it, routine, your call sign, diner, your city and state, today's date, my information in the address section, and hope to hear you on the band soon. Anybody spend the $5 on the x-ray here? And then your name and your call sign at the end. Anybody have any questions on how that came together? Either I did a very good job or or I didn't, but I'll go with I did a very good job. Right, I can do that, right? All right, so let's talk about traffic nets here, and this will kind of help you understand what's going on the net control station. Oh, good questions come up in the chat, so let me go right back to this example. So the time filed is filled in when you send it. Okay, so this is one of those moments where the methods and practices guide says an answer, and I'm going to tell you something else. So for the day-to-day routine, if you bring something to the traffic net, then the time filed is the time that you say I have traffic. I have one going to Michigan. That's the time you filed it with the system. It's not the time that you relayed it. It's the time that you filed it with the system. And so that part aligns with the methods and practices guide. Where I start to differ, and you could say it's an interpretation. Let's say you're in an incident and the emergency operations center needs you to send something, and they give you the message at 1905. The time filed is 1905. It's not the time that you took it to the traffic net an hour later. It's the time they gave it to you. From the perspective of the incident, you are the traffic system. And as far as they're concerned, the time they filed it with the traffic system is the moment they gave it to you. Does that make sense? Sometimes it leads to a small debate among traffic handlers. But if I'm the EOC, that's the time I'm concerned with, right? I need a generator in 6 hours. Well, not 6 hours from when it got listed at the traffic net level. I need it 6 hours from when I told you. And so from the incident's perspective, that's the time it was filed, was the moment it was given to you.
So Aaron, quick
Yeah.
question. So if it's, I got it from a friend of mine who wants to send something through the traffic system, would I want to put the time file when he gave it to me, since I'm going to be the sender in most cases?
I would say yes to that. If it's routine traffic, then we don't care about the time so much, right? Happy birthday. Did I need to know you got that at 1905? Is it worth the time to send it across the network with, the time this was filed is 1905 for happy birthday? Who cares? So, but if it's, I need cots or I'm at this shelter, then yeah, definitely want to include the time. And so the comment in the chat is, so when it hits the traffic system, yeah, that is my stance on that. From the perspective of whoever is relaying it, or introducing it. If it's my own traffic, it's when I say I've got it at the traffic net. It'd be kind of silly for me to, well, the time filed is the time I wrote it down for myself. That's not the time it was filed. But from the incident perspective, the moment they give it to you, that's definitely the time it was filed with the system. Yeah. Other questions on that one?
Question,
Yeah.
Lee. On your location example, where you have city/state, does that mean my city or my state, or does that mean I'm supposed to actually put a slash in there and
it should
include
be a
both?
space. It should be a space. So I'll put it in the, so Dallas, Texas,
Okay.
would be DALLAS space TX, Dallas, Texas. So no, that's I filled this in and didn't pay attention to what I was doing is how I'll put that. So yeah, but no, good catch. It's just city, space, state. Two letter initial abbreviation for the state. All right. Other questions? Okay, traffic nets. And so a lot of this is going to focus on how we do things at the DFW Metroplex traffic net level. Again, nets have different little personalities to them. So the key thing there is just to listen to that traffic net. And that's good advice for any net, to listen to it for a bit, to understand how the net flows and operates and things before you start jumping in. Nets will typically start with some sort of preamble, like anything else. Welcome to the DFW Metroplex traffic net. My name is Aaron. I'm your net control station. This net is an affiliate of the ARRLs. We'll set the stage for what's going on with that. And then we'll start with check-ins, stations with traffic, stations without traffic. And they're both important. Stations with traffic, well, they have traffic. The stations without traffic are able to help with the relaying. And then the relaying starts. We'll start connecting stations together to get the relaying moving along. So here's an example log from a net that I was the net control station for. So I'm listed at the top because I'm the first one there. I'm in Dallas and I had no traffic for that net. Next to check-in was Calvin W7KYG in Fort Worth, and he had a piece of traffic out of Bowie, Texas. Then Don checked in W9VE, and he was a liaison for TEX, the Texas CW net. And what this means when I'm tracking this as a net control station is that if I have a piece of traffic that's headed somewhere else in Texas, then Don W9VE is an outlet for that traffic to get it from the local level to this statewide net. So if I'm in Dallas and I have traffic headed to Houston, this is very much an option I would keep in mind to getting that traffic from here towards Houston. Next, Roger KE5YTA. He is one of the digital liaisons. So same story. I have a piece of traffic that's headed to Wisconsin. Then I could move that through the digital traffic network. I'd give it to Roger. Roger would then take it to digital, and then the digital system would carry it from there. He brought a book of 5. So the same text headed to 5 different destinations. 2 of them were in Dallas, 1 in Plano, 1 in Prosper, 1 in Melissa. John, KF5IU, checked in next. He's also on digital. He had a book of 3, and he also had a separate one, or what we would say a single. I have a single to Burleson. So these 3 in the book all have the same message, and then 1 more that was different. And then Corky, KG5NNA, checked in next, and he had a net report. We track statistics for the traffic system. How many nets, how long did they run, how much traffic moved through them. So net control stations will turn those into the net managers. Hey, guess what? Through the traffic system, they'll send their reports through the traffic system, right? Why would we email it? We have a system that moves things. And then the net control stations will send reports to their section traffic managers. In this case, it's me. I compile the data and then I put together a report that goes up to ARRL headquarters in Connecticut. And that's what allows us to understand how the traffic system's flowing and how much volume we have and that type of thing. So as a net control station, if I wanted to connect two stations together to relay, I would say station 1, please call station 2 and pick up the traffic headed to wherever. And then the relaying would begin. I'm ready to copy. Thank you much. Please copy my number 1, routine, kilo 8 down, the address, phone figures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, break, go ahead. Thank you, break, go ahead, go signature, signed, do da 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 da. End, number whatever, no more, how copy, I Roger your number, whatever that is, thanks much for the traffic. Thanks for taking it, K8AMH back to net control. That's how the relaying would happen, is just right in that crisscross. While we don't want you to take 500 years with doing it, accuracy is more important than speed. We want the thing to get there, word for word and letter for letter. So, back to that speaking slowly and clearly and that type of thing. And I mention it because some folks on the DFW nets will come in, and Roger KE5YTA and I have been at this a while. And when, sometimes he'll show up and I've got 6 pieces of traffic for you, and we will get into a flow. And we will move one radiogram every 45 seconds. And that's just because we're able to go at that rate. Now, if I was sending something to someone else, I would not go that fast. I would adjust my speed based on the rate that they're able to work it. That's what's important, is the accuracy. I'm not in it to win a race or something like that. This is about accurate relaying. And so I adjust that based on the other station. Again, no race. This is about accuracy. So the way that I would move the one from earlier, please copy my number 312. Again, I go slower. Please copy my number 312, routine, Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel, 12, Dallas, Texas, January 15. Jane Doe, I spell Delta Oscar Echo, amateur call Alpha Romeo 1 Tango, address figures 1, 2, 3, mixed group 85 Tango Hotel, street, direction southeast, Sumtown, Wisconsin, zip figures 00121, phone figures 330-555-4424. Break, go ahead. Great seeing you yesterday, initial x-ray. Hope to get together again soon. Figure 7-3. Break, go ahead. Signed Aaron, amateur call, Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel, end 312, and no more. How copy? I copy your 312. Thanks much for the traffic. Thanks for taking it, K8AMH, back to net. And so just do that over and over and over again. This is how the system rolls with that. And I'll give you some practice with that as well here, which is right now. So I have a piece of traffic that I'm going to send your way. So if you've got a blank radiogram, I promise I will go nice and slow. We'll go through it and answer any questions, and then we're at the end here right after this. So let me have a little more fuel. Ooh, I should buy one of those fancy mugs that's got the heater built into it. Anyway, Melissa, you're still at the top of my video, so I will have you give me the goes for this. But again, I'm going to go really nice and slow, everybody. So if everybody is hopefully ready, here we go. Please copy number 404, routine, Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel 15 Dallas, Texas, October 17. Going to your station. Break. You're muted, Melissa, but I'm going to pretend you said go ahead. Thank you.
Sorry.
I'll start over. Thank you for attending this training. Hope to receive some traffic from you soon. Figures 7-3. Break.
Could you say all after traffic? Yeah,
Say again all after traffic.
Say again all after
From
traffic.
you soon. Figure 7-3.
Go with signature.
Signed, Aaron, amateur call, Kilo 8 Alpha Mike Hotel. End number 404 and no more. How copy?
Roger, you're 404. Thank you very much for the traffic. KFF.
Okay, and thanks for taking it. K8AMH. And so now, of course, if I had more traffic, I would say I have one more, I have two more, that type of thing. Hopefully, here's what you got on your end. Again, number 404 routine K8AMH 15 Dallas, Texas, October 17 to your station, right? So if someone's sending something to me, they don't say, this is going to Aaron, amateur call, Kilo 8 Alpha, Mike Hotel address. I know my address and my phone number, so I don't need you to tell me what that is. Just tell me it's coming to my station, and I go, okay, thanks. But thank you for attending this training. Hope to receive some traffic from you soon, 73. Anybody have any questions on how this came together? As I envision someone feverishly typing away, or everybody's sitting waiting for me to keep going. So let's go ahead and get this wrapped up, and then we'll jump into the Winlink side of the biz. If no questions, I will give you some kind of next steps. And then again, I can stick around for questions, and we'll do the Winlink walkthrough. If you're not in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I've had folks from Puerto Rico, Ontario. So for in the U.S., you can find a traffic net in your area by searching the ARRL net directory. I'll tell you, it's not exactly the greatest, but it's there. ARRL.org/ARRL-net-directory. And I'll have all this in email, so no need to feverishly write if you don't want to. I think a better option, contact your section traffic manager or your section manager. We are here to help, so please feel free to reach out and ask. And sometimes I have folks reach out to me with, are there traffic nets in my area? I'll help you find what's in your area. I'll also help connect you with your local section traffic manager to make sure they're in the loop and are available to answer questions and things like that. So please feel free to reach out to your section leadership. That is why we're here. The reference guide and the radiogram blanks that I've talked about a few times. Again, those are on my webpage, kilo8alphamikehotel.com/handouts, and that's plural. There are two versions of the radiograms. One is a fillable version, and the other one isn't. Kind of up to you how you want to keep your radiograms. I started with physical copies. I find that I learn better by handwriting and going through the motions. And so if you start by filling them out by hand, and then in time, when you've gotten it down, start looking at electronic records or things like that, then do that. But I like the handwritten first. If you're thrown into an incident, and computers are a luxury, and you're handed a mic and then and a blank sheet of paper and a pen and say go, right? If you've done them by hand, then they'll flow better, type of thing, versus I don't have my computer, I don't know what to do. So I would definitely recommend start by hand first. And then how long do you keep them? For the routine happy birthday, maybe a month, maybe 2 months, and then you can get rid of them. But for the incident stuff, I would hang on to it. It's more critical type of thing. And then in time, when you're comfortable, move to the digital options. If you want some ways to get involved in the traffic system, there's a couple of things that we run here. One is a weekly trivia question that comes out every Sunday at 0 hours UTC. You send your answers through the traffic system, and I keep points because why not? Also gives me some insights of how long did it take to reach, and I put that data up on the trivia webpage, ntstrivia.com. And average is about a day and a half for cross country. So I was at a period where I didn't know the answer. How long does it take? Well, I don't know. And well, now I have some data, and to get Florida, New Jersey, Ontario, average is a day and a half. The other one, NTS Pen Pal, is where I connect you with another amateur radio operator. And you just kind of get to know each other over the traffic system. And that traffic goes directly between the two. I just link you together, and then after that, I let you run. That's helped us identify some areas in the traffic system that have needed some attention. I sent that traffic to the pen pal, but it didn't make it, and it lets us go back and understand what's going on and get that link reestablished, and then we get the traffic flowing again. So that's been helpful. If you'd like to get to know other traffic handlers or would like a forum to ask questions or things, we have a group on Groups.io. So groups.io/G as in golf/ARRLNTS. You can either do that through the web interface, or you can get them in your inbox if you prefer. And so an option there if you'd like to have a forum to ask questions or just kind of monitor the conversation, that type of thing. I see the question stacking in the chat. I'll get to that in a second. Otherwise, some other resources for the North Texas section. We have the North Texas webpage, Twitter accounts, and things. I have my webpage, k8amh.com. You're welcome to email me, k8amh@arrl.net. We'll get them forwarded to my main email, and we'll go from there, type of thing. Kind of an opportunity for final questions, and then I will jump into Winlink. If folks need to drop off, thank you so much for joining in. I'm out of slides, so you're welcome to stick around for any final questions or things. Again, for housekeeping, I will work on getting the video up on YouTube and getting a link out this evening with a link to that, link to the slides, and the other items that I talked about and that type of thing. And again, if any questions, you're welcome to send me an email. It's probably the easiest way. You have a phone number that reaches me if you want to call, type of thing. But thanks so much for your time, and I hope you found it useful, even if at the end it's traffic handling isn't for me. If you could take this knowledge with you, and if you're in an incident and that's going to the traffic system or that's being relayed, well, you have an understanding of what that means now instead of it going into the mystery box. So thanks much for joining in. All right, let me go through questions here. How do you correct a typo if you're writing? Pencil, yeah, you could erase. Usually what I'll do if I'm taking a piece of traffic and I spell something wrong, I will continue along with the rest of it because I don't want to fall behind, right? Well, if I misspelled, a September or something and I need to fix it, well, the other person's still telling me the rest of the traffic. They're still sending it to me. So I'll keep rolling through it. Whether radiogram or anything else, the way I like to correct things is one single line through it, and then right next to it what the correct item is. If you do this number to it, then if I am getting it later and I'm looking at it, what was written there? You know, it raises too many questions. Single line strike through, and then write the correction next to it. And then that way later when we're looking at it post incident, oh, I get what happened here, and I don't have to question, well, was there something important written here, or what was that? It's just easier for me to understand as the person that might be reviewing it. Is your own shorthand okay as long as the message doesn't change? I would advise against it. We want the things to show up word for word or letter for letter. Now, if you're taking a piece of traffic and you put a shorthand for the word "the" as you're trying to capture a type of thing, as long as you complete it later, I would be kosher with that. I'd be okay with that. But otherwise, you run the risk of not changing it later, and then you turn in the documents post incident, and the shorthands are all there, and it leaves a bunch of scratching heads, or you forget to change it, and when you go to relay it to the next station, there's potential that it introduces changes. And we want the things to show up exactly as they started. So the more you stick to the what it was, the better at the end of the day type of thing. Hopefully that makes sense, right? It's a little bit of the telephone game, right? I need 6 cots is how it starts, and if at the end it turns and I'm out of cotton candy, or then we want the thing to arrive as it started. So the more it stays exactly what it is, the better chance it's going to stay that way. The more little, well, I changed the word X-ray to the initial X-ray. Well, those small little changes seem innocent until they expand out into the rest of the message. And so, if you can keep it exact as it is, that really is what we're after with this, word for word, letter for letter. And if there's a mistake in the message, like there's 2 X-rays in a row or whatever, run it through with the mistake in it. That's really how it needs to flow. How you receive it is how you send it to the next one. Exactly. Mistakes and all that might have sneaked in there, or that might be there from the beginning. Exact copies. I was going to message MSG for messaging, etc. You run the risk of it staying MSG when you go to the next one. So again, I leave that up to you when you're writing it down as it's being sent to you. If you shorthand it and then come back later and expand, the key part is we need it to stay exactly the same as it relays to the next station. So that part, very important. I don't have a radio at the moment. Could you let me know how do I practice whatever information you shared with us today? Some traffic nets, right, there's the National Traffic System, NTS, it's ARRL. Radio Relay International has traffic nets. Some traffic nets are independent. So like here in this region, the 7290 traffic net is an independent, but we're all integrated together, and we're all using the same radiogram format and all of that. From the ARRL perspective with National Traffic System, we are preparing for incidents. And so technologies like Echolink or All-Star, bypass the over-the-air aspect. And if we're in an incident, all the traffic's going to move over the air. Having said that, some traffic nets will take traffic over Echolink. Here in the Metroplex, we kind of have if you're within the range of the repeaters and your antenna situation is just no good, you've tried it a few times, then okay, we'll let you come in on Echolink and participate that way because we want you to build the skills and that type of thing. Now, if you're in New York State and you join in over Echolink, then no, we're not going to have you bypass 1,000 miles of the traffic system to get traffic into Dallas, right? We want you to go through the traffic system like anything else. So, that I can throw you as an option. Otherwise, it's very much an over-the-air activity. And so once you get a radio, I know a lot of folks will start with a handheld. Some folks for a base radio will use a mobile. I have a mobile here that I'm using as my base at the moment. Those can be good. There's no need to buy the $2,000 rig type of thing. A mobile radio can do just great for at the desk type of thing. Other questions. So always ask for fills if you, so comment. Always ask for fills if you have a question you got behind writing. Yes, we want the thing to get there word for word and letter for letter. And so if you have a question, the time to ask is right then and there. And not, well, after the net ends, I'll ask, can you clarify that spelling? No, the time to ask is right then and there. If someone is sending something to you and let's say the band conditions change and now you can't hear them, or you're not able to get the whole thing, or different things like that, then that is an incomplete relay. And what the net control station will do at that point is they will work to figure out how to get that moved in a different way. So if the station that's sending it was sending it to somebody that could hear them, and then 30 seconds later, the band changed and now they can't hear them, well, the net control station can find a different station that can help move it along, and instead will route it that way, and that type of thing. So there's some agility in the system with how to get things flowing. And so, definitely if you could not copy it completely at that point, ask for the fills, ask for the spellings. Please spell John. Is it Jon? Is it John? Get that information right then and there. And then at the end, when you are confident that you have everything word for word and letter for letter, that's when you can say, I Roger your number 1, 2, 3. And then, that's it. The relay is complete successfully at that point. Yeah. Other questions or anything? Throw them in the chat. Let me dive into Winlink, which I have open here just by handiness. So from Winlink's perspective, it's like any other message. It's just the content of the message is a radiogram. And so the way that I would introduce traffic into the traffic system through Winlink is I had opened a new message like any other. Okay, normally my screen resolution is ginormous, but I shrink it. So this opened on off to the side. So let me bring it in here. Okay, so I have the blank message here, and I will go to this templates to select a template and expand this standard templates section. Scroll down to this radiogram and RRI forms item. And in here, you'll find radiogram.txt. Now, you'll also see this RRI ICS 213 radiogram item. This is a newer one that was just introduced in the last month. This is RRI's solution to trying to merge an ICS 213 and a radiogram into one form. It is also part of the test with the Mars exercise. Parts of it are working, parts of it are maybe needing some tweaking, but that's something that Radio Relay International owns, but that's what this is here for, is to try and bridge that. But the item that you're looking for is just the plain, the tried and true radiogram.txt. So double click on that and it will open in your browser. And so let me zoom in on this, and you'll notice that this looks like the radiogram form, the number, and Winlink will try and track numbers for you, but you can completely change this to whatever number is next. The precedence, and there are some test items for when we're doing exercises, but 404 routine, what handling instructions do you have, the station of origin, the check will get figured out automatically, place of origin, date and time, who's it going to, you just fill it out just like you would at the on a radiogram. So I'll just fill this in. And we'll just put some message in there and see the check automatically updates with it. Signature, yeah, it's myself, but okay. Op notes, right? Remember we talked about those, but we don't have to have them, so I'm gonna leave them blank. Okay, now here's where it gets a little interesting. This form is designed to introduce the traffic into the digital traffic net, into DTN. And that is what is happening when you click where it says click here to select a liaison. So what you're doing when you get this is you're helping the digital traffic net route this to its destination. And that's what you're picking is where is the destination, what state. And so it is broken down by region, by, like the call sign, our regions in the call sign, but it's not based on call sign. So for example, I'm in Dallas, but I have an 8 call sign from Michigan. The destination is region 5, Texas. Even though my call sign has an 8 in it, it's headed to Texas. And so that's what I'm picking here. And then when it gets into DTN, the system will route it to Texas based on this option. Now, if you mess up, okay, someone will eventually notice and help get it riding in the correct direction, but try and pick the right one. We'll hit close. You'll see it'll fill in this destination information. And then you'll hit submit. Oh, I didn't fill in place of origin. So it won't let you send it unless it's complete. So I hit submit now. To complete this, click OK. OK. Now this goes blank. If I switch back to Winlink, now we see the radiogram in here. Please leave this exactly as you find it. So what is happening is in the 2 is it's telling the digital traffic network how to route it. And then the RI also keeps an archive. The subject, traffic, 1 piece of routine to Dallas, and then the information from the radiogram, the number, the precedence, the station of origin, break, right? We're breaking here. Thanks for attending, and again, the break, and then the end. Keep this exactly the same. You'll then post it to Outbox like any other piece of traffic. And then once you get it into the system, then it will forward from the Winlink system into the digital traffic net, and it will flow through the traffic system at that point like any other piece of traffic, just as if I had brought it to the local traffic net at that point. If you sent it to me through this form, Roger or John, K5YTA or K5IOU, would check into the traffic net here in Dallas and say, I got 1 piece of traffic for K8AMH, and I would pick it up like any other piece of traffic. Some folks use this for their field day points. And so the only thing I'll mention there is for field day. In order for it to count, it has to go over the air when you send it. And so let me scrap this because I don't need to send this to myself. So in here, if you are using Telnet to move your Winlink traffic, that does not count for your field day points. It has to be over the air, whether that's packet for a 2-meter packet station, or if you've got a Pactor modem and you're moving it over HF, type of thing. That's where those points come in, is if you do it like that. If you move it over Telnet, it doesn't count for field day. Otherwise, for day to day, you can do that. Now, if something is coming back to you through the traffic system, it will stay in the traffic system. It won't magically pop into your Winlink inbox. It's a one-way trip in from Winlink into the traffic system. It doesn't turn around and come back out because the messaging stays within the traffic net. Questions on that one?
Hey, Dave Edwards here with one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know she's using Packet Winlink. Are you on higher band?
Packet, I'm on 2 meters. And so like, if I hit open session, this is the MetroCrest packet station, Winlink station KB5A-10. You can pull up a list in here. So for folks in Dallas, you might recognize this one, the W5FC repeater, because that's where our early traffic net sessions are. They have a packet station for Winlink here. But I would pick from here which station I want to connect to, and then I'd set my radio to this frequency, and then go from there, type of thing. And if you need to update this table, Of course, the easiest is just to update via the internet, and it'll pull the fresh from there. And if you have your location in the Winlink settings, it will tell you how far away you are from that station to try and help you figure out, what to pick type of thing versus just having a blind list. And so I'll generally use this one because it's the closest. Sometimes the station has a little bit of a fit, and I will connect and it will immediately disconnect. And so, okay, and I jump over to the next one here that works well for me, and I do it from there type of thing. That give you information you need there, or anything else I can answer?
Yeah, I'm on 20 meter and 40 meter HF, and I'm using Winlink Win More. And when I go to select the template, I can come down to radiogram, okay, and I get the 3 options opened up. But I cannot, when I click on the, I can open up the IC 213 and get a format. When I click on that one, it doesn't do anything. It just sits there and looks at me. Is that unique to my computer?
Probably. Yeah, that might
Right.
be something that we might have to look at after. Sounds like Mike might have something. Go ahead.
Well, it could be that your forms are not updated. I would make sure your forms are updated. I got it.
Yeah, I updated the forms and reloaded the whole Winlink system again, and still can't get past place.
Yeah. Something else I've seen. Sometimes folks will have OpenOffice installed, and OpenOffice will associate itself with web links like that for HTML. And then when you go to open it, it tries to open it in OpenOffice instead of your browser. And then it's just a matter of resetting the default browser back to your browser. But a lot of that is guessing. Some of it would have to be, Dave, I know you're local here. And so maybe, we set up a time to try and troubleshoot type of thing. Because there's just
Roger
a bunch
that.
of, just a bunch of, it could be this, it could be that, I don't know, and we could be here for an hour. So other questions?
Lee, K5WX.
Yeah, go ahead.
On your what you mentioned on field day or whatever, and not using Telnet, I do a lot of Winlink over Arden, and Arden is RF, but it's also Telnet over RF.
Okay.
Does that mean I don't get points for that?
You do get the points. The key part is it leaves your station over radio waves. And then what happens after that doesn't matter. Because also in effect, if I send something over packet Winlink to the node across the way, what's going to happen next? Well, it's going to dive into the internet and go into the Radio Relay International system before it starts going over the air from there. So the key part for the field day points is that it leaves my station over RF somehow. And then after that, whatever happens doesn't matter. The key parts it leaves for me over RF. That's a good question. Yeah. That answer, Lee, just to make sure.
I do. Oh, thank you. I know that's perfect. I have another question, but it's not a Winlink question. If this is devoted to Winlink.
No. Go ahead, and we can go back and forth. Yeah.
Wanted to confirm in all of the traffic handling we're talking about, we don't seem to ever use punctuation, upper, lowercase, periods, commas, quotation marks, slashes, hyphens and slashes, though I have a little bit of concern about. I could ask a more specific question. Can I just, first off, to confirm, there is no punctuation, is that correct?
There is if it's written out. So like if the email was something at something.net, right? Then in the radiogram it becomes something hyphen something something.net. All of the punctuation turns into words. And if something has to be uppercase or lowercase, well, that's getting converted into words too. Uppercase, blah, open parentheses, it all starts to blow up pretty hard. And so we try to avoid that as best as we can. And so sometimes, the question is, well, who's responsible for that type of thing, right? If I'm working an incident, how do I work on that? We look to the liaison stations that are that bridge between the incident and the traffic system to help with that. This very much came up for the Mars exercise. You know, how do we avoid having this, you know, what would be considered just kind of a basic message ballooning into something huge? And it's like, well, you have to understand how the traffic system flows. And so, you know, please work your messages in that type of a design type of thing. So, you know, the system supports punctuation. It just blows up very fast. So for happy birthday, you know, try to avoid parentheses or things, you know, but going back to the incident, you know, if it really has to have the punctuation, then that's the need. And that's what we're going to work with. Yeah.
So a word like X-ray, we use X-ray, you know, phonetically, we use it perhaps for a little cross to mean something. And then X-rays, I broke my finger, they X-rayed my thumb. If I were to use X-ray as a something the doctor was taking a picture of, would I spell that out EXRAY or something, or do I put does it wind up being an X-ray, or how do you differentiate between the phonetic X and the actual thing?
Yeah, this is where I would personally, you know, the word X-ray, I would spell out. The doctor took an X-ray, I spell X-ray Romeo Alpha Yankee, and I broke my thumb, initial X-ray. I would personally have the difference in there like that to indicate that this is where I mean this as a period, and I mean this as the word X-ray.
Oh, you also preface it with the word initial every time.
Yeah, initial X-ray. That's right. Yeah. I don't know if I would send, I hope the meds start working soon, but you know, it's your postcard to send. Everybody can hear it. So however you want to, and the same rules of the, you know, on air apply. No business, third party traffic's okay, but if you send it internationally, then the third party traffic rules apply, and you know, those types of things. But you know, thankfully we don't run into that really at all. No. Does that clarify it for you, Lee, on how I would do that?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, sure thing. Other questions? We can go back to Winlink or on the traffic side. I'll buy you a little bit more time in case someone's typing. I've thrown a lot, and so if you walk away from this talk and well, I've got a better understanding, but I still have questions, then that's excellent. I'll have the video online later this evening, and we'll send the link out and invite you to, you know, wait a little while, wait a couple of days, you know, let some things kind of sit. And then if you'd like to watch it again, I hope you'll have those aha moments, or oh, I get it now, right? The first time, you know, this might be the first visibility, and then the second time you've got a better idea, and you know, and that type of thing. And I encourage you to get on traffic nets and participate. And you know, while I can't speak for every traffic net, I know here in the Metroplex with the DFW traffic nets, you know, they're very much there to help folks learn and grow. And so, you know, like anything, the first time is a little bit rougher, and we get that, and we'll help you through it type of thing. And, you know, in time, as you continue on your traffic handling journey, it gets easier. And if you're at it long enough, you get like me, where you just pull over and grab the piece of paper and go, okay, and you write it all on the blank piece of paper because you dream about radiograms. So, you know, maybe it won't be that bad, but you'll get into the flow of it type of thing. And again, I'll send links to resources, the video. If you have questions, you're welcome to reach out. Feel free to send me an email. We try to offer time for questions during the traffic nets, and we'll announce that. You know, any stations with questions or bulletins, and answer those on the air type of thing. Sometimes the traffic nets will get busy, especially if we have a net following afterwards. And it's like, well, we can't. You know, we can't get the you know, the question period in because the traffic needs to move. So it depends a little bit there, but you know, otherwise we're generally available to answer questions type of thing. And I'll open up any other questions or anything before we go. Otherwise,
Aaron,
yes.
Is there going to be, and I know you may have said it and I may have heard it, is there going to be a big exercise coming up soon?
Are you here in Dallas?
I'm in Denton.
Okay, so that's close enough. So we're holding a traffic net exercise here in the Metroplex in a couple of weeks. It'll be the first Saturday in November. The place to find out about this, and I'll put this in the chat as well, is dfwtrafficnet.org. This is also where you can find out about the local traffic nets here that we have. We have them twice a day, every day, 6:30 p.m., 10:30 p.m. Uh, every day. And I've stressed that because the system works every day, 365 days a year. At the top here under the welcome is the link to the exercise page. It will run from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on the Irving repeater system, so WA5CKF. You're in Denton, so if you have the DECARA, the Denton County Amateur Radio Association ICE plan, the in case of emergency plan, that is channel 18, in the ICE plan for the 2-meter machine. They have a 2-meter, a 70 centimeter, and a 1.25 meter repeater that are all linked together, so you can come in on any of those, but I have a feeling most folks will come in on the 2-meter. But what we will do during the 4 hours is simulate a cellular network outage and a request from government officials for situation reports on cellular connectivity across the Metroplex, as an attempt to measure, what's the effect. Are folks able to use their cell phones or not? And, it's a measure of, can folks call 911 if they need to, effectively, especially with folks not having landlines as much as they used to. I know we don't. We have a VoIP line, but it's still, not the same as a copper pair. So during those 4 hours, we'll ask for those situational reports. There's a player handbook available that walks through the exercise and the expectations and asks. There's also an incident briefing and incident action plan for those following incident command system that would like to understand the exercise in this format. At the end of this IAP, as well as within the player handbook, is the radiogram template layout that we're looking for. So exercise, the location that you're at, the time that you took the observation, who the cell provider is, so AT&T, T-Mobile, or Verizon. And again, we're, punctuation, so Alpha Tango Tango, we don't need the ampersand in there. Just tell me Alpha Tango Tango. The service status, is it working or inoperative across the board? So for voice, data, text, either they're all working or it's inoperative. And again, exercise beginning and end and test priority. We want to indicate it's exercise traffic, but this is a real world assessment. So we're not.
Well, Aaron, is this under service status? If it's working, say in Denton, do I just say, is this just local for me?
It's an assessment of your location. So if you could be in the car in Sanger and, and then take the assessment in Sanger. But if you're in Denton, then it would be, let's say you're on Verizon, exercise, Denton, 1, 2, 4, 5, whatever time it is, Verizon, working, exercise.
Okay.
And that would be what we're looking for. The player handbook, again, the incident action plan is meant to be like what you get in an incident. The player handbook goes through this in a little bit more easier to follow flow than kind of like the hard copy IAP that would pop out of the planning group type of thing. And so there are examples in here of how this would look with an actual report. So invite you to check out the player handbook to see how this would piece together based on some examples.
Okay, well, one last question. On November 7th, what do? We just show up, or how do we initiate our presence or make our presence known?
So this will run like any other traffic net. There will be a net control station that will announce that the net has been stood up. for the purposes of an exercise. And then they will ask for a liaison for the Emergency Operations Center. And I will check in as the liaison for the Emergency Operations Center. And then the net control station will take check-ins from stations with traffic. And at that point, if you are on the net and you have your traffic ready to go, then you can check into the net with traffic. I have one for the simulated Emergency Operations Center. Right, we're only going to take check-ins from stations that have exercise traffic. So this is not the time to bring the happy birthday traffic or something like that. This is only for exercise traffic. The net script is in the player handbook if you want to review this later of how it will flow. So the net control station will ask for check-ins from stations with exercise traffic, and you'll say you'll check in with your call sign phonetically. And the net control will confirm that you have exercise traffic. And at some stage, the net control station will say, Emergency Operations Center, please call your call sign and pick up 1. And I will say that, your call sign, this is EOC ready to copy. And then you'll roll through copy number 1, test priority, K1, and you'll roll through it like any other piece of traffic. And I think that's important to stress. This is like any other traffic that flows through the system. It's just the stack rank of the order it moves gets bumped up higher because it's priority traffic. And just if there was emergency traffic, then the priority traffic would suspend and the emergency traffic will flow. But the flow is exactly the same, whether it's emergency, priority, welfare, or routine. It's all the same steps. You read the header the same way. You read the address the same way. You read the text the same way. And so that will be the exercise flow. You'll relay that traffic into the Emergency Operations Center. And then at the end, you'll say end number 1, how copy? And I'll say, I Roger your number 1. Thank you for the report, K8AMH, Emergency Operations Center. And you'll say, thanks for taking it and ID and send it back to net control. Does that answer it?
Yes, and I guess just to get prepped, I should have a radiogram ready to go.
So you can fill it out before the exercise and you can fill it out during the exercise. The key thing is when you check into the net and you're saying, I have traffic, have it ready to go. It won't be well, I'll have one in 5 minutes. We don't care, right? If we only want the check-ins from stations that have live traffic, that as soon as you say, I have one, be ready for that net control station to say, EOC, pick it up. And I will say, go ahead, and I'll be ready to take it from you. So
what if it's my first number 1?
Then that's fine. Then the message is number 1.
Okay.
Number 1, test priority. Your call sign, Denton, Texas. Date and time. Going to simulation EOC. Break. Go ahead. Exercise. Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
And then and then I would encourage you, this is something I just kind of do for fun, k8amh.com in the menu, and I try to track this on my own too. There is a first radiogram award that I send out for folks that send their very first radiogram. If you jump on this webpage and fill in your info, I can send it to you first class at no cost. Or if you'd like it in priority mail, which about the only benefit for that here in Dallas is you can track it. Otherwise, it still takes 1 day or whatever. I just ask you to pay me the difference that it's going to cost me in the postage. But otherwise, fill out what's the number, what's the precedence, handling instructions and stuff. But if you send it to me during the exercise and tell me it's number 1, I'm going to figure out it's your first one, and I'm just going to send you one.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
It will be my first one, by the way.
If you want to practice beforehand,
come to DFW traffic.
Come to the and make sure that you can reach the repeater and all that good stuff. You're welcome to send one to me. It could be enjoyed your training, thank you. It could be too fast, go slower. I mean, whatever you want to send me, as long as it's not like, go to hell or something. I don't want that.
Check of 3.
Yeah, check up, check up.
Yeah.
But
No, it would never be that, Aaron. But
well,
I mean, I just want to be sure that if when I do participate on the 7th there, that I
Yeah.
have all my ducks in a row and
Yeah.
get the radiogram ready and
yeah, the time to practice is now. And one of the quotes I had in the deck that I didn't actually call out is, once the emergency begins, the time to prepare ends. And what I mean by that is, sometimes this will happen on the 7290 traffic net. The hurricane will come in, and the 7290 net will stand up for any traffic related to that hurricane. And you will get a brand new station that has never participated in a traffic net before, ever, and has never listened to one. And they will check in and say, I want to help. But they have no idea what a radiogram is. They have no idea how traffic flows. They have, and it just clogs it. And so that is not the time to learn. The time to learn is before the hurricane shows up, before we're in the incident. So for the exercise, I know we'll have some new folks, and we will try as best we can to help folks as they're flowing in. Ideally, the best time to learn is now, before we're in the exercise, because if we're in a real incident, there just isn't the capacity to provide the training during the incident, right? I got a shelter that needs to get a request out. I can't burn time explaining how the radiogram works and how to fill it out, right? I got to focus on the traffic. I can't focus on the education at that point.
I see. Well, I guess one thing that comes to mind is I've helped in American Red Cross exercises, and they use ICS 213s.
Yep.
I take it that in this situation, we will not use ICS 213 forms.
That's correct. The language of the traffic system is the radiogram. And so, and that's back to, it's got a lot of experience behind its layout. And so the system runs and breathes on radiograms. Can the traffic system move a 213? Yes, but it has to be converted into a radiogram format first. And so back to the Mars exercise and the traffic that's happening there, we provided the Mars folks the translation instructions. Take the 2 from the 213 and put it here in the radiogram. Take the signature, take the from in the 213 and put it in the signature block, and gave them documentation to help them with that mapping. For this exercise, it will be pure radiogram forms, and so be exactly what I just talked about in this discussion, and the examples that I gave on that. It will be exactly this format. There'll be no 213s on this at all.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, sure thing. Other questions I can answer? If it's exercise related, if it's Winlink related, if it's radiogram related, if it's 213 related. Any other questions?
I have a question about Winlink.
Okay.
When you go to the RRI little section that you were just showing, is that's only for out of state? Is that right? So if I wanted to just send something out, I could use Winlink and like as an alternative to going to, like, say 7290. I don't even know how to use digital yet.
You can inject any traffic like any other traffic. This is just a different injection point.
Okay.
And so you could send one to me. For the folks that don't know, Melissa is also here in the Metroplex. you could send one to me through this. It would be a little weird because what would
I like
happen
weird.
is you would send it in through this,
Okay.
and then it would get routed to Roger or John. and then
Okay.
they- and
If
then they-
I hit the RRI part.
Well, that's what this is exactly going to do.
Okay.
Right? When you bring this up and you go in here and say the station that I'm sending it to is in region 5 in Texas, then what happens is when you relay this into Winlink,
Okay.
the Winlink systems relays it into the digital traffic network system.
Okay.
And then from there, it moves through the system like any other digital traffic, even if it had been brought in by a DTN station and brought in. It will move through the system like that. And to give the 30,000 foot view, it's effectively like a mesh network. So if there's a digital station in New York State and they inject something into DTN, then it will move over the air through the digital traffic network. So there's no internet involved in that. It will move over the air between all these different nodes until it gets here into this region. And that's what the region 5 is for, is to say, send it to Texas or send it to this, to this region. And then Roger or John will connect in to that.
Digital, yeah.
It will connect in digitally over the air to say, do I have any traffic that's headed to Dallas or this area? And they'll see the list. And that's what that subject line is, QTC1 routine, Dallas, Texas. And they'll go, oh, okay, that's headed to here. I'll go ahead and take that. And then it hops over the air to their station. And then they show up at the traffic net and say, I have one, when we see, got any traffic from digital? Yeah, I have one going to, and that's how it exactly arrived. When you bring it in from Winlink, it's still, if you're going over the air or, that type of thing. I am seeing I froze. Did I come back?
You're back.
Okay. Oh, if you can hear me, that's all that matters. But if you do it over Winlink, whether it's Telnet or over there or whatever, the first stop is Winlink's system, and then it will jump from Winlink to RRI's digital system. And then from there, it goes through the digital system like anything else.
So if I use Winlink, but then I put put your email address in there,
It will show up with Roger or John.
Oh, even if I don't click on, let's say I don't put it in the region.
Okay, I get it now. So I thought you meant if you put my email here in the email box.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, because I did try that one time.
If you put an email in here, it will still stay in the traffic system like anything else. And it could show up at Roger or John's station. And at that point, they could do the delivery by email if they wanted. But there's no automated emailing. It still goes for relaying like any other traffic. Now down here, if you, instead of picking a liaison station, you put my call sign directly in here.
Yeah.
And then hit submit, instead of having the DTN information in the 2, it's going to have my Winlink inbox in here. And it will come direct to my Winlink inbox, like any other Winlink message. Because again, Winlink doesn't care about the content of the message. It just sends it to wherever you tell it. And it would send it to me directly.
And that's still over the air.
Right. Well, or unless you pick Telnet.
Not Telnet.
But it would bypass the traffic system in that case. It would stay within Winlink's normal email-y infrastructure, if I can call it that.
So Winlink's not part of the traffic system.
That's correct. So when you pick, I want it to go to region 5, right? And then it says, okay, region 5 and this, and that's what goes into the Winlink message. Once it hits Winlink, Winlink then sends it into DTN. It leaves Winlink and goes into the digital traffic net at that point, and DTN takes it from there. And that's why, again, it's a one-way route. You can send from Winlink into DTN, but it doesn't pop back out from DTN into Winlink, if that makes sense. It's a one-way trip in.
And so if I don't click right where you are in that box, but I just send it, let's see, where, delete where you put RR, delete that, and then just put an email address in there, an ordinary email address.
Then it would be like any other Winlink message where you put an email. Winlink would take it, and then it would leave Winlink and go out as an email and show up in an inbox.
So that's not considered sending a radiogram?
It is, but
Oh.
it's not the traffic system. And so
Yeah.
I would, as a section traffic manager, I would kick and fuss. But
Okay.
technically you relayed a radiogram over the air, so it counts as a send. But I would kick and fuss because the point is to move things through the traffic system. So
Yeah, no, and I've only
I
been
thought
trying it out because I don't even know. I'm trying to figure out how it works. So
yeah.
uh,
Right. And the big thing, yeah, and this has come up as part of like the trivia traffic and things, is that there are stations that don't understand the traffic system, how it works at large or things. And so they'll do delivery by email or, different things. And, it's like, email is a delivery channel, but, we need it to
you're
go
a
through
mile
this-
away.
Right. There's a difference between it hits Dallas and Roger picks it up and there's no phone number, but there's an email address. And so he emails it to the station in Dallas, right?
Yeah.
Versus
And you're close.
I'm in New York and I'm going to email it to the recipient in Dallas.
No,
right?
and that has happened to me
You
before.
bypassed 1,000, and I run into it on occasion too. And I will reach back out and I will, do you have a way to get it through the regional net or the eastern area net so that it can be transferred to the central area net and come down to Dallas that way? Let's start asking. Or let's loop in your section traffic manager or your net manager for the local net you're on or whatever. Let's understand how we can get this moved through the traffic system. And in some nicer words than this, I reject the delivery by email. and let's get it into the system and get it moved. And it helps the other station to build their skills. Now they understand another component of the system, right? And that's the goal. So it's not, this is not about, you just email and how could you, and you're just lazy. It's let me help you understand how the system works. And then the future, the traffic comes in through the traffic system, and that's the win, right? That's the whole reason we do this practice and things. So, it's just a matter of, when I get the email from 1,000 miles away, that I reach out, that as an opportunity to educate versus, okay, and then I don't do anything about it. And, that doesn't help. All right.
Yeah,
Other questions or anything? I know
Aaron,
we're rolling much later, but I could stick around for a bit more. And David, yeah, go ahead.
Aaron, if you have a Winlink account, like I have one, my call sign is Whiskey Delta Zero Hotel Uniform. And unfortunately, when I made my Winlink account, I put -1. And then to go back and change that would take an act of Congress. But anyway, in your case, like you're already got a Winlink account, so I could just say in the contacts K8AHM, and it would go automatically to you. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep. And I've done the same thing. I have one with a -10, but I don't really use that one. I use just the one that's vanilla.
Okay.
Did you already register? Like, did you pay money? And
Yes.
okay, then you're going to be stuck then, unless you pay again, I think, or ask Congress nicely.
Well, I guess what I was trying to say and to help the lady out there was if the person already is registered and has a Winlink address and all of that, all they need to do is say your call sign, and Winlink knows it and sends it along. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's treated like any other Winlink destination account.
Okay.
Right.
And yeah.
In that case, it'll bypass the traffic system. That's the key thing I want to mention there. If you put a direct address like that, then it'll just flow through Winlink directly, and it won't go through the traffic system at all. Still counts as a relayed radiogram if you're keeping track of points or things, but yeah.
I see. I see. Well, I just wanted to be clear on that because, as I said, I've helped out other entities like the American Red Cross. I was with an American Red Cross group for about 2 years, and we used to use Winlink to move traffic. We also used FL Digi to send an ICS 213. We had the local sheriff's department and I guess a couple of hospitals. And we would meet on Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. And one of the exercise things was to send a Winlink message via RF, not Telnet.
Yeah.
And you hit an RMS station, remote messaging station, and then they pick it up. You hear all the grinding sound and the acking and the knacking, and and then it goes into the system, and then it's gone.
Yep. That's exactly how this would work here. And if you put a direct call sign like that for the destination, then it'll stay within Winlink. If you go into this list and pick from this list, then it'll go into the traffic system and it'll move through the traffic system after it hits the Winlink station that you're sending it to over the air. Then it'll go to DTN and then move through DTN to its destination through the traffic system at that point.
Okay.
So that's the main difference there. Yeah.
So did you say that's better to do it that way? Even if it's local, like if you just want to use Winlink to practice, if you want to send it locally?
It depends. Do you want to involve the traffic net?
Oh.
So if you send something through this form and send it to region 5 and it's someone here in Dallas, then what will happen is Roger or John will check into the traffic net one day and go, I have one going, like if you send it to me, then they would say, I've got one going to K8AMH. You know, that's effective.
And I just don't get the benefit of getting to say it myself over the air.
That's right. So this is just a different injection point
versus if that's interesting.
Yeah, because this is just like introducing it like any other way.
Okay.
Yeah, but
well, that's kind of cool. Anyway, I want to try that out.
Yeah. Okay. Other questions? Yeah, Lee, go ahead.
Lee, some of the time you've mentioned, national traffic system, and some of the time you're referring to a digital traffic system. Are there two separate traffic systems?
Yes. So there's a couple of different components that make up kind of what I unofficially call is the complete traffic network. So the ARRL, National Traffic System, the NTS. There's Radio Relay International. They run the digital traffic network, and they also, as part of that, help with the international Radio Relay International. So if something's headed to Germany or England, that type of thing, Radio Relay International will generally be the folks that carry it over there. There are independent traffic nets. So like here in this area, 7290 traffic net is independent. So they're completely unaffiliated with any entity. The key thing about all of these different things is that we're all speaking the same radiogram language and we're all interoperating together. And so you might bring like the traffic net, the DFW Metroplex traffic net is an ARRL NTS affiliated net. And if it's headed to Florida, that traffic might go over 7290. It might go over DTN. That at the end of the day, the affiliation doesn't matter. What matters is the capability. What can you do with it, right? And after that, it's about the traffic moving. And that's the nice part about all of this. All of the different folks that are working together, regardless of affiliations or whatever, then the end goal at the end of the day is getting the traffic to its destination. And we're all working together to make that happen. And so it's the same thing with the Mars exercise. Some of the traffic's coming in through voice, phone, CWNet. Some of it's coming over digital, but it's all flowing through like anything else, and crossing between RRI and ARRL or independent, or we're all working together to make it happen. And that's the magic of the system overall. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions?
That was very
All right.
good and
All right.
fun.
Okay. Well,
Aaron.
any other questions? Feel free to email type of thing. And we went pretty long. We'll take this final question in the chat, and then I'll hit end meeting. Recommend what specified radio I should get that would be effective volunteer. Okay, so please just implement stuff. All right, so let's take the first question. What radio to get? So this isn't a traffic system question, but that's okay. If you ask a ham, what radio should I get? They may list things like, oh, you're welcome. If you have to drop off, feel free, that's okay. And again, feel free to send questions by email if you have them, and I'll send the links and things out later this evening once I process everything. Ask what radio to get. They'll say, oh, you should get a Kenwood or a Yaesu or ICOM or a Baofeng or an Anytone, and then you'll ask folks, what do you not recommend? What do you hate? And they'll say ICOM and Yaesu and Kenwood and Baofeng, and so it's one of those. It's one of those, are you an Xbox or a PlayStation person? And for some reason we have to feud over this. And I don't understand it. Why you run a ICOM? That's a piece of garbage. Really? The key thing at the end of the day is running the equipment that you find good to work with. Different things have different bells and whistles. And so, you can get a handheld that has GPS and APRS in it, and that can be helpful if you're out on a search and rescue and someone needs to track your position, and your handheld will just ping your position every so often. But some folks might not need that functionality. It kind of comes down to what are the features that you need. But when I think about like a base station or a mobile or things, if you buy a radio because somebody says, oh, this is a great one, get it, and you hate the interface, I can't work the damn thing, I just want it to, and I can't, then you will never use it. And it will be awful, and you'll detest the hobby and all that. Are you here in Dallas by chance? No. Okay. So I usually will say it's either really great or an awful curse. Is it Portland, Oregon? Oh, well then you could either say this is really great or an awful curse that you have a ham radio outlet store near you. So with COVID, things are interesting right now. Usually what I would recommend is that you jump in, go to HRO and give them a try, which is a little rough right now because, everybody's, going to infect everybody. And so we're all in panic mode, but with good reason. I don't know if HRO has started letting folks in. I don't think so. I haven't made a pilgrimage in the last few months. Usually that's a biannual, once a quarter, I just find myself at HRO and make another donation. But I would normally recommend get some hands-on with all the stay at home and minimize things. YouTube. Try and find videos where they walk through the interface, because you could have a $2,000 rig, and if it's hooked up to a POS antenna, it will run like a POS. So, a lot of times it's the antenna that makes the difference and not the rig. And so when folks want to focus on the rig, it's about the interface. Can you get it to do what you want? And will it do it easily? Because if you're at the incident and they say, okay, go to this frequency, and you're like, I can't get this thing to, then, no good. So if the interface works well for you, that's the one to get. And whether that's, now if I'm at an incident and you say, I'm going to hand you got your choice of this Yaesu or this Baofeng. I'm gonna take the Yaesu, right? You know, I'm gonna, you know, unless you say if you drop it, then you need to pay me. Then I'll take the Balfour.
Pay
You
'em,
know,
pay 'em.
you know, it's a, you know, it, the higher priced equipment has a little better reliability and things to it. You know, some folks start with the Baofeng Eufy 5Rs and things, and they're a good starter and let you get a feel for things. But if I had to program that thing from the front end at the incident, I would throw it at the wall. You know, the thing is just, you know, I'd have to get chirp out and do all the errors. So, you know, horrid. So focus on that and then take it from there. And if you get the ham that's like that thing is a piece of garbage or whatever, tell them thank you for your opinion and find someone else to talk to. You know, this really is not about I have an ICOM and everybody bow before my ICOM or whatever. You know, this is just, you know, I've got a radio and it works well for me. I'm able to make it do what I need to do. If you sent me into an incident and you said, you know, set up a Winlink station and get it running, I'm comfortable with this equipment. I can make it do it. And I don't care what brand it is after that, right? I'm not gonna, okay, I need someone to set up a Winlink station and they may only have a Kenwood. You know, I could care less what brand it is. I just, can you get it on Winlink or not? And that's what I'm caring about there. So that unfortunately, I can't give you the brand. You know, it's really, and I'm not specific to one brand either. I've got equipment, I've got a Baofeng, I've got an Anytone, I've got Kenwood, I've got ICOM, I've got Yaesu. I find different for different. Like in the car, I like my Kenwood. On my base, I like my ICOM. You know, I don't tie myself to one specific brand. Some folks do because the interface flows across. It all comes back to what do you find works well for you. That really is what it's about. Yeah. All right. Other questions? Oh, ways, resources to learn and how to implement stuff. Stuff can mean a lot. Stuff could be, I want to go through satellite or I want to bounce off the moon or the International Space Station. Stuff could be Winlink stuff. So the best resource I can give you is to find a local amateur radio club and start working with those folks. And they're an awesome resource for connecting. They're all closed. Are they not doing onlines? I know a bunch of the groups here in Dallas are online meetings and things. But if they're all like, I might get germs through Zoom, then I don't know. But once in a blue moon. Dang. Well, I can picture the ARRL materials, you know, but I wish you could find an Elmer, someone that you could connect with. And it depends on stuff. So what do you mean by stuff? And how much money do you want to spend? No. So by stuff, I'm a student. Do you have your ham license right now? Or I forget, you're not yet. No, so no money. Yeah, the ham fests or things would be the way to go there, but that's a different animal in terms of getting together. Yeah, you could try eBay or things just for the equipment side. But as far as getting together with folks, it might be that you know, online forums, Facebook. If you have a ham club that does like a groups IO type thing, I know we have groups here that do that. If you want to find out more about Winlink, we have a Winlink Wednesday net that runs here that you check in on the net using Winlink. And there's a Winlink check-in form for that. T.L. I'm going to give you a link here. Winlink Wednesday, and there's a groups IO group that does that. That you can go and ask questions about Winlink, or you know, I can't get my radio to talk, or you know, different things. And maybe just seeing the conversations on that front would help with any Winlink questions. Again, do you have an amateur radio license right now? Not yet. Okay, we'll get that first. You could get the book from ARRL. Try some online tests, online tests first. Okay, I'm gonna go to one of my undocumented. I have a wiki on my webpage, but it's incomplete, so I don't advertise it.
Aaron, can I interrupt for two things?
Yeah, go ahead.
The first one is to say thank you so much very much for doing
yeah,
this,
sure
this
thing.
today.
Yeah.
A lot of time and effort on your part, and I just want you to know I think we all appreciate it.
Yeah.
The second is anyone anywhere in the world could tune in on Broadcastify to Digitally Speaking on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. And we talk about this kind of stuff a lot. And they're welcome to ask specific questions or ask a group of people what they think of a particular radio or anything like that.
Yeah.
If they don't have a radio and can't get into the 146.92 repeater in Denton, and you get it on Broadcastify, and if you use NetLogger, you can send a chat to the group, and you'll hear it over the radio or over the internet, the answers, but you can ask questions and things like that. If you don't have resources close by, I just want to offer that up to whoever wants.
I would reach out to your section manager. Let me see if I can, so let me take this detour first, and then I'll come back to the other thing. So I put the link to the Digitally Speaking Net in the chat. Let me put a link to your section management with ARRL. Your section manager is David, Ka7OZO, and you could reach out to him and then just kind of ask, hey, I'm getting started, but I'm having some challenges finding a club to connect with or things given COVID, and who would be a good resource, or who can I reach out to? I'd like to learn more about X, or I'm working on getting my license, or different things like that. That's why we're on. That's why we volunteer for this, is to help. So please reach out to your section management to get some help there. The other link I put on there for the wiki that I don't advertise, it's one of those projects I started and then backburnered because other things. I have some links to some practice exams, and they're not, they're free of charge, so there's no cost on them. You can use these practice exams to practice. Some of them are nice enough to tell you what area to focus on, because there's kind of like the beginnings of the engineering, Ohm's law and different things. There's the legal things like, are you authorized to transmit on this band with a technician license? And so based on how you do on the practice test, it'll tell you focus on this area, this topic, build up on this to test better, to score better. And then once you start passing the practice tests, then go for the exam session. Some places here are holding in-person sessions. There are also online ones. Aim the camera at yourself so that they know you're not cheating, and do the test online type of thing. And so that could also be a question that you ask, David, the section manager, of how can I test right now, and see about an online testing session if that works better than in person. Just take it from there type of thing. And then, I'm trying to think anything else. So that's what comes to mind right now. What else? Anybody?
I can't get the liaison thing to work.
Okay, sounds like I had an offline discussion with Melissa and David at some stage on Winlink and the fun there. All right, then, if nothing else, again, thanks everybody. I hope get your license, and then I hope to get some get some traffic. And again, thanks so much. I'll send out all the details again, and give me some time to process the video and make dinner and all the that type of thing. But I'll get it out to you today. And again, any questions, just send me an email and that type of thing. Otherwise, thanks again, everybody. Appreciate you taking the time to jump in and learn, and hopefully I'll get into traffic handling and I'll get some traffic from you. And otherwise, have a good rest of the day, and hope to hear from you through a radiogram at some point.
Thank you,
So,
Aaron.
yeah, thanks much.
See you later.